Hello people of the world, and welcome to today's episode of Coffee Chats with Jack, soon to be the Unity Project. To be honest with you guys, I have had a really rough week. I actually tried to shoot this video yesterday originally. I don't even really remember what I talked about, but yesterday was like a really dark day. If any of you guys out there have ever struggled with depression, then you might be able to relate to what I call like tunnel vision. It's kind of where like nothing around me makes sense. It's like I'm living in some kind of alternate reality. My therapist refers to it as the upside down. If any of you guys watch Stranger Things, you'll know what she's talking about there. But it's like nothing feels like it is okay, and it's like there's this gray filter over everything, and everything feels really hard and really heavy. And so I was feeling that way throughout most of last week because I was working this tour where I was feeling super triggered by a lot of different things. That, like, my hard thing for me is that with touring, I have had some of the greatest experiences of my life on the road, but I've also had some of my worst experiences of my life. And so being on a tour again is tough for me because everything feels like a trigger. And when everything feels like a trigger, it's like you are 5 years ago, 10 years ago, like however long ago bad things happened to you. That's where your brain is stuck, because that's what trauma does. It like freezes that moment into thinking that like everything from this day forth is that. I was kind of downward spiraling and not really wanting to deal with it and trying to numb out in every single possible way. Numbing out is so easy. It's like a big easy button. There's drinking, or there's binge eating, or there's watching Netflix, or there's all sorts of things that can revolve around numbing out, whether that's like reading a book or watching a movie. And not all those things are bad, but if you continue to numb out and stuff this stuff down, and to just like whenever you start to feel this like little bit of pain, to just run, which is what I like to do, that's when you kind of just miss out on life. You're never actually present. And so my therapist has been talking to me a lot about this thing called mindfulness, which in our conversations, it's been a lot about food, like mindfulness when you're eating, because I am trying to recover from having a very unhealthy relationship with food and being afraid to eat real meals. And it's a bumpy road, but one thing that has been really helpful has been mindfulness in eating. And that just means being present. Like when you're eating this meal, like notice the colors, notice what it tastes like, notice what it looks like, and write down how you feel after you eat it. And it's like, when you do this, it sounds so simple, but it has really changed my whole world, noticing these different things versus just eating something because you're numb, or eating something because you want it to nourish your body. And it's just a game changer. And so the more I'm learning about mindfulness there, the more I'm learning about mindfulness like everywhere. Like whenever I do feel triggered, I have to remind myself that I am here right now. I'm 24, I'm not 17, or I'm not 22, or whenever these different things happen. And you could do that by noticing your body, like touching your arm, doing something like yoga. Yoga's been hard for me for the longest time because it makes me notice my body and myself in a way that is uncomfortable for me, because when people go through trauma, they tend to disassociate from their own bodies because their bodies prove unsafe. And that's super normal. It's not helpful or healthy per se, but it's very normal. And I used to be really scared of that term because it was kind of used as a weapon against me. Like, if you're not careful, you're going to have dissociative disorder. I'm learning to have compassion on myself with that, and learning to understand how much it makes sense that I struggle with what I do. Because I feel like the first steps in getting better are giving yourself permission to feel how you're feeling. And yesterday sucked. Like, I had this therapy session yesterday morning where I finally was able to process everything out, and that's when it all just hit this climax, and I knew this is going to be a dark day. What do I have energy for? Nothing, really. I had energy for nothing. And part of me felt guilty for that. I wanted to avoid and this and that. But I took a second and I sat and I felt my pain, and I let it teach me what it needed to teach me. Because pain is one of our greatest teachers. And when we run from it, when we stay out of the present and try and push ourselves into some other reality of life to where we don't have to deal with our stuff, we're missing out on everything. We're missing out on life. So I'm learning how to trust my body, and I'm learning how to be compassionate on myself, and I'm learning how to be mindful and present and be where we are, because this healing journey is not easy, but it is very important. And I don't think there's ever really an end to it. Like, I kept asking my therapist yesterday because I was just not okay. I was like, do you really think this is going to get better? Like, do you really think there's an end to this for me? Like, do you really think I'm going to be okay? Because in those dark times, I don't think I'm going to be okay. And that's when I want it all to just end. because I don't think there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There's no reference of time. And the more she assured me that I was okay and that I was normal and loved and not crazy, the less alone I felt. So, thumbs up to therapy. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you are interested in learning more about my story and more about my journey with all this stuff, then go pick up a copy of my book, Finding Home. There's a link in the description box below, or you can go to my website, www.jackiegtv.com. Thank you for being a part of this journey and giving me a place to speak my mind and process all this out. You guys have no idea how healing that's been. But I love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.